Does morality prove the existence of a creator? From time immemorial, the question of the origin of morality has been at the forefront of philosophical and religious discussions. Is morality a part of human nature, or is it merely a product of human evolution and social upbringing? Why do humans feel a moral obligation toward their actions, even when it is not in their personal interest? These questions lead us to a deeper dialogue about whether morality serves as evidence for the existence of a creator, or if it is merely a natural evolution designed to enhance human survival. In this article, we will explore the argument supporting the idea that morality is an innate part of human nature and review scientific experiments that show how morality is evident even in early childhood. We will also consider the counter-arguments from atheists who argue that morality can be explained solely through evolution and culture. Finally, we will present a comprehensive analysis that demonstrates how morality can be a powerful indication of the existence of a creator. First, innate morality and the argument of Phaedra, natural disposition. 1. The philosophical argument for innate morality. Believing philosophers argue that morality cannot be merely a product of evolution or culture but is a part of human nature, instilled by Allah in the soul of mankind. This moral disposition is evident across all societies and throughout the ages, as we find common values like the prohibition of murder and theft, and the encouragement of justice and honesty. For instance, German philosopher Immanuel Kant believed that humans feel a moral obligation that goes beyond personal interest, which can be explained by the existence of a higher moral legislator who sets these values. Without this higher source, moral values would become entirely relative and non-binding. 2. Scientific experiment supporting innate morality. Recent scientific research suggests that children exhibit moral tendencies from a very early age, supporting the idea that morality is part of human nature. For instance, in a study conducted by Yale University's Baby Lab, results showed that infants prefer characters that help others over those that hinder or harm, indicating an inborn sense of good and evil from infancy. The experiment, infants were shown puppet shows where one puppet helped another climb a hill, while another puppet hindered the attempt. Afterwards, the infants were asked to choose which puppet they preferred. The results, the majority of infants chose the puppet that helped, indicating that even at a young age, they can distinguish between good and bad behavior. In addition, other experiments have shown that children exhibit a sense of fairness and altruism, preferring to distribute rewards equally among others and helping others without expecting any reward in return. These experiments support the notion that morality is not merely a product of social upbringing but is inherent in human nature. 3. Guilt and moral obligation. Experiments have also shown that children feel guilt when they commit wrong actions, even when no one points out their mistake. This feeling of guilt is a strong indicator of an internal sense of moral responsibility. If morality were merely a product of evolution or culture, why would children feel this internal obligation from such a young age? Second, arguments of those who deny morality as evidence for the existence of Allah. On the other hand, atheists present arguments suggesting that morality can be explained through biological evolution and social culture without the need for a creator. 1. Morality as a product of biological evolution. Some scientists, such as Richard Dawkins, argue that morality evolved as a means to ensure the survival of the human species. According to evolutionary theory, cooperation and altruism enhance chances of survival, and thus moral values developed as a survival strategy. In this context, morality is not innate in the sense of being divinely inspired, but rather the result of a long evolutionary process. 2. A morality as a cultural product.
Third, analyzing the debate between both sides. 1. Challenges to the evolutionary argument for morality. While the evolutionary argument provides an explanation for some moral behaviors, such as cooperation and survival, it faces difficulties in explaining other moral values. For instance, self-sacrifice for others or defending the oppressed does not always serve the individual's immediate survival interests. If morality is merely a product of evolution, why do we observe behaviors that do not benefit individual survival? 2. Moral relativism versus absolute values. Moral relativism raises the question, if morality is entirely relative, how can we condemn actions like genocide or slavery, which were accepted in some cultures? The existence of absolute moral values, such as the prohibition of murder and injustice, points to the existence of a higher source that defines these values. This source cannot be easily explained by evolution or culture, but implies the existence of Allah, who sets these values as fixed standards. 3. Moral obligation and guilt. Moral obligation, especially when it conflicts with personal interest, is one of the strongest indications that morality is not merely a product of evolution or society. How can we explain that humans feel guilt when they commit wrong actions, even in the absence of punishment or reward? The feeling of guilt and moral obligation indicates that there is a higher source for these values, which is Allah. Conclusion: morality as evidence for the existence of Allah. In the end, the debate around morality provides strong evidence for the existence of Allah. Scientific experiments show that children exhibit moral preferences from a very early age, indicating that morality is part of human nature. On the other hand, evolutionary and cultural explanations may account for some behaviors, but struggle to explain absolute moral values and the feeling of moral obligation. Morality is not merely a tool for survival or a product of social interaction, it is an inherent part of human nature, placed there by Allah. The existence of absolute moral values, the feeling of guilt, and moral obligation suggest that morality is not a coincidence or a product of evolution, but is evidence for the existence of a wise creator who created humans and instilled these moral values in them. This creator is the one who gives life its meaning and purpose, and who defines for us what is right and what is wrong.
I ask God to make us among those who learn and act upon their knowledge, so that our knowledge becomes a light that illuminates our path in this world and the hereafter. And peace and mercy of Allah be upon you.